This is a disaster. We are now just hours away from free agency opening up, and we got some shocking details surrounding the Los Angeles Lakers and Dorian Finney-Smith, and not only his future in LA, but some details surrounding some behind-the-scenes scandals that are going on that are absolutely absurd. We're going to break those down as well as discuss some interesting updates. We are now just again hours away from the floodgates opening. But before we get into it all, if you're part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel, you guys have been absolute beasts with the support. So make sure to hit the subscribe button. Your guys' support has been unbelievable. Folks, a lot to go over today. Let's dive right into it. Free agency now is about 2.5 hours away. We're going to be, of course, covering it. Probably going to be going live as well. So stay tuned for the live stream. But folks, we're going to be talking about Dorian Finney-Smith. Now, there's some very interesting, conversations being had around the league about Dorian Finney-Smith, but you could see this here 11 hours ago, and I want to kind of set the stage here. We know Dorian Finney-Smith declined his player option. Now, you can see here, Trevor Lane is saying that Dorian Finney-Smith is the one who doesn't want to come back, but wouldn't spill the reason on why. And then an hour ago, Trevor Lane, apparently Rob was going around to other teams talking about how Dorian Finney-Smith's knee is cooked to tank his value, and it got back to him. Horrible look considering he's best friends with Luka Doncic. So, folks, this is absolutely ridiculous. There's some craziness going on behind the scenes. There's some ridiculousness going on with supposedly, Rob Pelinka and just telling other teams that Dorian Finney-Smith's injury is cooked and that so they wouldn't pursue him in free agency. And clearly, Dorian Finney-Smith didn't like this. It kind of starts to add up. I mean, you look at what Trevor Lane said, basically saying that DFS didn't want to come back, but wouldn't say why. Anthony Irwin now kind of confirming that it's this is a crazy reason, a scandal almost here. If this is true, this is unbelievably sickening because Dorian Finney-Smith, you gave up a bunch of second-round picks for him. All signs were pointing to him returning. And if we date back to 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, everyone was saying how he was going to return. It was kind of just, I had him penciled in. Maybe they trade Hachimura, but we all just assumed Dorian Finney-Smith would return to the Los Angeles Lakers. And then just like this, he is most likely going to be gone, as we also have a new report as well, which we'll dive into in a minute, saying he's probably going to go into the Rockets. But again, they declined his player option. Now, a Lakers return is possible, and keep this in mind as well. This hasn't been confirmed by Shams or anything like that just yet. However, it seems at this point that it is very likely that he is leaving the Lakers for the Houston Rockets. And it all just starts to get a little bit crazy because they have a lot of expiring contracts. They have a lot of different things. But Dan Wokey came out today and said the Lakers are expecting Dorian Finney-Smith to leave and sign with the Rockets. So this is new news as well. I would assume this would drop later tonight that Dorian Finney-Smith is going to be signing with the Rockets, which is crazy. And then, of course, we were all wondering why. Just a disaster. And again, do I think that, Lakers are screwed? No, absolutely not. They have a bunch of ways and avenues that they can go now after letting Dorian Finney-Smith walk. It opens up a bunch of cap space, but I'm not really, opens up the full MLE rather, but I'm not really worried about that. I'm more worried about the fact that A, they gave a bunch of second-round picks for him, but B, and didn't work out, but B, of course, Rob Pelinka going around and I guess talking trash behind his back, if this is true, of course, take it with a massive grain of salt. It's a disaster. I'm sure we'll hear soon if this is actually the case, but it's really, Anthony Irwin now confirming, and again, Trevor Lane didn't verify this for sure, but he did say that he wouldn't spill the reason as to why. And it is just a disastrous scenario because you removed Dorian Finney-Smith from this. You are in a very, very rough spot if you are the Los Angeles Lakers for big men because, the Rockets now, a Western Conference rival, got KD. Dorian Finney-Smith would fit absolutely beautifully alongside the rest of this team. He would just fit fantastically around, Houston Rockets I'm talking about. So it makes all the sense in the world. How much are they going to give him? Dorian Finney-Smith, we were wondering why he was testing the market coming off of a surgery. The reports were when he had the surgery that he was going to come back and be, back with the Lakers. He's friends with Luka Doncic. They can work on it. Think about after the season, he came out and said how much fun he was having playing alongside Luka and LeBron. And now playing alongside those two gives him so many open chances for, threes, of course, corner threes, and just so many open looks. He said, actually, we're hearing some bad things. Let me just go ahead and pack my bags and leave and go to Houston, where he can also, thrive next to KD. Like, it is a scary, scary turn here and a big turn of events. And their depth chart now is kind of in shambles. You can either, this would be kind of the options to bringing Dorian Finney-Smith back is you bring back DFS in multiple years or use the full MLE plus the BAE, which I don't think either of which are necessarily going to happen. And it is not an ideal scenario. And here's the full report. The Lakers are bracing to lose Dorian Finney-Smith in free agency to a multi-year deal with the Rockets. The loss of a valuable piece like Dorian Finney-Smith and a beloved teammate of Luka Doncic will create a void on the perimeter, but his exit will open up a pathway for the Lakers to be aggressive, targeting the top available centers in free agency. So if we want to take the positive side of it, it's that Shams came out and said that the Lakers will be shoring up meetings with available free agent centers tonight and over the next couple days. Shams also came out and said that something big is going to be happening tonight. Whether that's with the Lakers or not is yet to be seen. We'll, of course, cover it as soon as it happens. But regardless of that, the positive side of all this is that, again, they are going to be and they are preparing to lose him in free agency. And that opens up the $14.1 million MLE. The Lakers are expected to chase Brook Lopez and Clint Capella. But, of course, DeAndre Ayton is another target up at the very top of their list as well. And also to throw in here before, the free agency hits, they're not going to be trading Austin Reaves, at least anytime soon. But it's just a complete disaster either way, because even if he left on his own terms, sure. But the fact that, he seemingly is leaving because of the fact that, Rob Pelinka was trying to tell other people how, and again, keep in mind, Irwin says knee here. It is his ankle. Anthony Irwin misspoke in the podcast, and he clarified that after. There isn't some new injury. It is his ankle that he was talking about. However, regardless of that, like, they could have brought him back. They could have done a lot of different things. And now you look at if they sign a center now, of course, for the sake of argument here, they're talking about Ayton. They still have Vincent. At the moment, they have Vincent, Kleber, Rui, their first and 3 swaps, and Dalton Knecht. So you can make a big splash here if you really wanted to. But again, losing Dorian Finney-Smith opens up the floodgates here for the rest of the offseason and the rest of the trade market. And that's kind of the positive value here. Again, it'll create a massive void. And I'm curious to see, let me know in the comment section down below, what are your thoughts on this? Because it does create a void, especially if it goes to the Rockets, a competitor. But at the same time, I mean, it opens up, I guess, the MLE for a guy like Brook Lopez or Clint Capella. But I don't think that, does it. Like, you cannot just replace Dorian Finney-Smith with Clint Capella or, late 30s Brook Lopez and expect this team to suddenly become a contender again. You need to do more. You need to make a trade for a center and then maybe use the MLE on a backup like Brook Lopez or Clint Capella. That would make some sense. But just fully relying on, a couple other centers, like Clint Capella or Brook Lopez in their isolation, to take care of, what A, Dorian Finney-Smith brought defensively, but B, to just Luka Doncic. They don't have a center right now, and that's how, bad things are. Again, just to look at some of the outlooks here, they do have 1 first-round pick and some swaps they can trade. They're below the first apron and below the second apron. Like, that isn't really a worry for them. But the MLE opens up now, and it's crazy that you look at the free agents, all of them are most likely going to be gone, including Jackson Hayes and Dorian Finney-Smith, which is something that we didn't think was going to be the case literally a week ago when everyone was talking about Dorian Finney-Smith. Let me know down below what your thoughts are on this weird scandal that Rob Pelinka is pulling here. I mean, trying to tank his value. It got back to Dorian Finney-Smith, and he, I guess, is upset with Rob Pelinka. Again, take it with a grain of salt, but regardless, it is a disaster, and he is going to be leaving for Houston in all likelihood in a few hours. We'll keep you up to date. We're going to be going live, I believe, as well for the stream. So make sure, for the live free agent countdown. So make sure you stay tuned for that for as soon as moves get made. Thank you guys for watching. See you later.